It's been a while since I made a video on the worst card. The last one I did was during Spacetime Smackdown, and I said Torterra was one of the worst cards and warranted its own video. I scripted that video, but I had to trash a lot of what I wrote, because before I could make the video, devs released Triumphant Light, which added a few cards which actually seemed to make Torterra viable. While I was pondering what to do with my now invalid script, devs released Shining Revelry, which gave Torterra even more options. I've never seen anyone discussing Torterra, so I figured I might as well make a video about it. First, I want to look at its pre-evolutions. I'll put some comparable cards on the screen so you can see them. The basic is Turtwig, and you can see it requires an extra energy compared to the other Gen 4 starters. It also has a little more HP and a slightly higher retreat cost. The extra HP is very nice, but generally speaking the more expensive attack either means you don't get to attack during your one force turn as a Turtwig, or you have to delay your evolution in order to get an attack off. This is actually consistent with the other grass starters we've had, but if you look at them you'll see they have a cheaper retreat cost and also do more damage. I think in most cases the differences between 70 and 80 health is actually not very significant, since you still die to the same number of 20, 30, or 40 damage attacks. By contrast, you'll really be feeling the extra retreat cost and loss in power. The energy-hungry nature of this line will be a theme going forward. Now let's look at the middle evolutions. As you can see, we have 3 different energy requirements here. Monferno's single energy requirement means it can evolve on the same turn it attaches its first energy, which is amazing if it goes first. It also has synergy with Infernape, which only requires 2 energy to attack. Prinplup has barely more HP and is doing the same damage for 2 energies, so overall it looks a bit weaker, but Water generally has much better energy acceleration than other types, between Manaphy, Misty, or Vaporeon, so it's not a huge deal. And again, the 2 energies synergizes nicely with the 3 energy cost of Empoleon. But let's take a look at Grotle. You have a bit more HP, and 60 damage is very nice compared to the other 2. But 3 energies is really expensive. Even if you put your first energy on Turtwig when you played it, and you put your second energy when you evolve it, you won't have enough to use this attack without waiting a turn. And all of Grass type's energy acceleration at the time of this card's release required other Pokemon on the field, namely Superior, which is a stage 2, or Lilligant, which needs to attack. So good odds you're not ready to attack with this thing while you're evolving it. And it has an absolutely titanic retreat cost compared to the other 2. This is really annoying because of the 3, it's the one you're most likely going to want to retreat, since it's the one most likely to be unable to do anything. And let's compare this to the other grass starters. Ivysaur has similar power but trades 10 HP for a slightly cheaper retreat cost, while Servine trades 20 HP and 10 damage for a retreat cost of only 1. Servine does more work on the bench than on the field due to its evolution's ability, so it actually helps a lot to have a cheap retreat cost there. But to me, Grotel's extreme retreat cost feels really out of place compared to his peers. Like if it's going to be that high, he should be doing more damage too. My point from all this is that Torterra's pre-evolutions are not especially great cards, and more importantly, they can easily get trapped on the field, which can be inconvenient since you really want to avoid Torterra taking too much damage early. So let's take an actual look at Torterra. 160 health is actually extremely good, especially for a non-EX Pokemon. And 150 damage is incredibly high, enough to one-hit KO almost everything in the game short of a few full healthy X-Mons. But if you look at the attack description, you'll see it can actually only be used once every 2 turns. This means that over time you're actually dealing damage slower than an 80 damage Pokemon such as Blossom here, a card which requires only 2 energies to fully activate. There are ups and downs of doing all of your damage in one go like Torterra. For the positive, you can often kill things in one hit, which removes the opponent's chance to switch out or heal with things like potions or Irida. You also only touch Rough Skin or Rocky Helmet a single time. For the negative, you can't kill something every turn like you could with a slightly weaker attack repeatedly. Not to mention, if the opponent forces Torterra to kill something that's not set up, they can get 2 guaranteed hits on it from something that is set up. The one action every 2 turns can be easy or difficult for the opponent to play around. So anyone looking at Torterra will immediately be asking, is there any way I can get it to attack repeatedly? Well, actually, yes. If you can switch it out, then switch it back in on the same turn. Frenzy Plant's restriction is lifted. The easiest way to do that would be to retreat into a fossil and then discard the fossil. The obvious problem here is that Torterra has an absolutely titanic retreat cost of 4 energies. It takes long enough to get 4 energies onto Torterra the first time, you're never going to be able to do it again. But theoretically, if you got Torterra to 4 and attacked, then on the next turn you could use a Leaf and X speed to bring your retreat down to 1, then reattach the energy you discarded using the energy from your turn and attack again. Now I'm sure you can see the problem with that. First of all, you need 2 different switching resources plus a fossil on the field to go into. Not only is that a lot to have in your hand, it's a lot to make room for in your deck. You're already going to want things like Erica or Rocky Helmet to exploit Torterra's high HP total, as well as things like Pokemon Communication to ensure you can get your evolution off reliably. You're leaving very little room in your deck for other cards, and we're still only at 2 basics, when you'd ideally want at least 4 or 5 for a healthy deck. I mean, just as a proof of concept, let's imagine you have a deck with 2 of the Torterra line. That's 6 cards. Now 2 fossils, 2 leafs, 2 X speeds, that puts us at 12. Pokeball, Research, Pokemon Communication, now we're at 18 of our limit of 20. And if our last two cards are just basics, we're left for no room for things like Erica, Sabrina, Potion, or Rocky Helmet. Cutting out any of these cards, even duplicates, is really going to knock our consistency. Because of this, you really just don't have room for the fossil strategy, so instead you're probably going to be focusing on attacking every other turn and merely surviving between turns. This makes a good segue for what kind of Pokemon you'd like to run alongside Torterra. At the time of Torterra's release, the really obvious one I think was Superior. Superior doubles the grass energies in play, making Torterra only need 2 energies to attack and only need to discard 2 to switch out, which becomes 1 with Leaf. Additionally, the lower energy cost will make Turtwig and Grotle much more usable. The obvious problem with this pairing is that you're now using 2 Stage 2 Pokemon lines, when even having a single one adds a huge level of inconsistency to a deck. And what's more, you're taking up a lot of deck space. 2 Torterra line, 2 Superior line, Communication, Research, Pokeball, Erica, you just hit your limit and have no room for things like Helmet or Leaf or Sabrina. Another little problem with these cards is they both have a somewhat weak early game. The opponent's lead Farfetch'd or Skarmory might 2-shot you before you even have enough energy to attack once. The high energy cost means an early game Sabrina to tempo you can be effective. For example, if you just get your second energy onto Turtwig and they Sabrina you into a bench Turtwig or Snivy with no energies. Because of all this, Torterra really didn't work at release, but I really think Triumphant Light gave it its best possible ally, and that's Leafeon. Leafeon functions quite well as an early game card, able to attach grass energies to itself to start attacking quickly, and then able to leverage its high HP alongside Erica to survive for quite a while, which lets you repeatedly use your turn energies and forest breath energies to build up a bench Pokemon. Celebi is the obvious ally for Leafeon due to its extreme ramping, but Torterra actually has a few interesting advantages over Celebi. First off, Celebi averages 50 damage per 2 energies, so if both have 4, Torterra is stronger most of the time. Second, Celebi's flipping makes it very inconsistent, while Torterra's damage is stable. Third, Torterra has a significant health advantage, which can allow it to survive hits that would kill Celebi, or get more damage overall via Rocky Helmet. Of course, the 2 huge downsides to Torterra are that it can't attack every turn, and that it's not a basic, so it requires more setup to hit the field reliably, plus it takes up more space in your deck. Here's a sample deck I made using Torterra, and I'll tell you it's not amazing but not horrible. Note I've included some even more modern cards like Red and Iono to help with consistency. An ideal battle with this team has you leading with Eevee and either getting Leafeon early or else letting it die while you get energies onto Turtwig. If Leafeon hits the field, you spam attacks and stall with Erica, hopefully getting a kill with it. Then when they finally set up something to kill your Leafeon, you bring in Torterra to probably one-shot it back. If that's your second kill and it was an EX Pokemon, you win on the spot. And even if it wasn't, you have a real chance of surviving 2 attacks while waiting for the chance to attack again, especially with any Ericas you still have. A big and obvious weakness of the deck is if you can't get Leafeon up early, or if you're forced to lead with Turtwig, which will happen all the time. This is why I only included 1 Turtwig line in the deck. Another obvious weakness is that you're going from an EX to a non-EX, so the opponent still only needs 2 KOs on you, same as if you actually brought 2 EX Pokemon. Anyway, the point of this video is that Torterra isn't the worst card in the game anymore, especially since they added Dragon Giratina. Thanks for watching.